Okay, in this short demo, we're going to look at how to use the sample size tool to calculate sample sizes. Now, the sample size tool in RCommander requires us to put in the width of the interval required, not the error margin. So in lectures, we talked about the error margin E, and that was essentially half the width of the interval. It was the distance between the sample mean and the edge of the interval. So we need to put in the width of the interval in this tool, which is twice that error margin. So if we do the example as in lectures, we go first to the statistics menu, we click on the means submenu, and there at the bottom we can see sample size. We click on that. We get this dialog box, and here we're meant to fill in the standard deviation. Now in lectures we assumed a standard deviation of 85. The desired width of the interval. In lectures we talked about a desired error of 20. So this corresponds to a width of 40, twice that. And the desired confidence level. Okay, we wanted a 95% confidence level, so that corresponds to 0.95. We don't put 95%, we put 0.95, which is what is the default there, so we can just leave that. If we click OK, and down the bottom we can see that the required sample size for a 95% confidence interval of width 40, assuming a standard deviation of 85, is 70, which corresponds exactly to what we got in lectures. Okay, that's the end of this short video.